At 5 News, we know that games and families have sometimes a very difficult relationship with each other, and this is something we really wanted to look into. So we conducted some research with YouGov, and we found out some really interesting results. One of those was that lots of parents ignore age ratings altogether. 57% of the people we asked actually said that their children can handle the content in age-restricted games. So take a look at this.
There aren't many family homes without one of these. Gaming consoles are designed to take players into worlds which are hyper-real and not always for children. Like films, games have a clear rating system, but more than half of parents told us they ignore it, that their children can handle the content. But do parents really know what 18 means? These three each have 2 children. We asked them to take a look at 18-rated content. We can't show it on TV at this time, but it includes extreme violence from Call of Duty and sexual content from Grand Theft Auto. Both games are big sellers.
My son's got 2 of them games that you've just shown, and I've never seen any of that. So I've never seen that level of violence.
I felt after like the first 30 seconds of the first one, like my heart was racing. I felt sick. It was horrible. I'm really shocked. It's a lot worse than I thought it was.
I'm finding it hard classifying them as games because I'm trying to justify where the game part of it is. If I had a way, that game would not even get through the front door.
Their head surely is not capable to take in that level of violence. My head can't take that level of violence, so as a young child, they shouldn't be seeing that.
From what I have seen, I am worried. What are they going to become?
So could virtual sex and violence have real-world effects? Well, there's no scientific consensus yet, but for some psychologists, it's inevitable.
Children do repeat what they see because they learn by copying. So, you know, when the content of something is violent and aggressive and demeaning, then it's a very dark world for children to be exposed to.
The games industry has already tightened up. 2 years ago, it adopted the European PEGI rating system. That means an age limit and information about why a game has earned it. Manufacturers say that should be enough.
The games industry takes its responsibility to its players, its consumers, and particularly children extremely seriously. But it is a shared responsibility, and that's crucial, and I think that's what your research has shown, is that parents need to engage and understand that games can be made that's suitable for everyone, but there are some games that are made that aren't suitable for children.
Some schools have started calling on experts to educate parents. Former detective Sharon Girling gives regular talks. She says she often meets 6- and 7-year-olds who play games marked adults only.
Why is it that parents see the certificate on a film as different to the certificate on a game?
Well, I don't think parents understand it, and that's part of the problem. And my response to that is, have you looked at it? Would you take your 9-year-old to go and watch an 18 movie or to go to a porn show? Absolutely no, you wouldn't. You'd take your 9-year-old to go and see something that was age appropriate, and yet we're giving them a game that clearly isn't age appropriate.
We did show our parents another game, just as violent but older and so less realistic. They didn't react nearly as strongly. But one certainty is that virtual worlds are getting more lifelike as the technology gets better. The line between game and reality could get harder to see all the time, especially for the very young.
Another thing we know about video games is that a lot of parents are under a lot of pressure to let their kids play more. Almost a fifth of parents that we spoke to said they thought their kids would play for 24 hours a day if they let them. So take a look at what we found out.
All day.
Every day.
Every day.
And all night as well.
It's an addiction.
My dad just don't like me playing it. He just don't really like us having fun for some reason.
These families can't agree how much gaming is too much.
Stop shooting.
Boys play games every day, a couple of hours in the week, a bit more on the weekend.
Maybe 4 hours. Probably say about 6.
About, 5-6 hours.
Everyone here says that's normal. They all know people who play much more.
Some of my mates go to bed at like 2 in the morning.
What are they doing?
Just like playing video games.
Till 2 in the morning?
Yeah.
But their games are always fun, they say, even if sometimes they're frustrating.
I just threw my controller.
Anyone else done that? Anyone ever thrown a controller?
Yeah. That's why I haven't thrown it at the wall, but I thrown it on the floor. Yes!
Next door, their parents see things very differently. For them, the games are changing their children.
Makes them different children, makes them very angry.
Yeah, moody, walk about, tired, bags under their eyes and go, you ask them anything, they jump at you and they... Attitude.
I think sometimes they think they are the people in the game, you know, they are the character. They become the character, don't they?
They just can't come off of it. So into it, you know, so focused. It's like a drug.
Peter Smith has been treating drug and alcohol addicts for 20 years. Increasingly, he's treating gamers too.
I think there are some distinct similarities. Tolerance, withdrawals, the amount of time that some people are spending doing it, thinking about doing it, the impact that it's having on the negative impact that it's having on them in lots of different ways, but still continuing to do it.
Games have come a very long way in little more than a generation, and clinics say that's part of the problem. Parents can feel their children are lost in a world that mums and dads can't understand. When today's worried parents were growing up, the fun lasted as long as the coins.
But then games moved into the home, and now they're online, and there the worlds are so complicated that effectively the game never has to end.
But what do games makers do to keep players playing? Well, those tactics have hardly changed at all.
Game developers are using the similar kind of strategies that they used in the old arcade games.
Bernie Good used to work in the games industry. She's now a psychologist.
They are building in what we call compulsion loops. So these compulsion loops are where a player will start to play the game and they will try to attain a goal within the game. They will reach the goal in the game and they will then unlock something content-wise within the game, and they will then go back and continuously engage in this compulsion loop.
Because technology moves faster than research, there's no answer yet for whether a gaming habit is any more damaging to a child than a TV watching or a reading habit.
Family life is just non-existent when they're on that. It's non-existent.
But some frazzled parents won't need research to tell them that a console isn't always compatible with happy families.
One really important aspect about games we thought doesn't often get covered by the media is a lot of the interesting directions they're going in and a lot of the good things they can bring to all of us. So take a look at what we found out here.
When it comes to violence and video games, the story rarely seems to change. Games with guns often get blamed after real-life tragedy. But when we focus on these extreme stories, are we ignoring others of how gaming might just be good for us? Take a look at this. It's called Minecraft. There are no guns, no missions, and the graphics aren't even very realistic. But in this popular gaming world is a corner designed especially for autistic players.
Really helped me when I was depressed.
Kiara, who has autism, used to be badly bullied.
Her confidence has just soared since she's been playing Minecraft and socialising with so many people, and she's just blossoming.
Without video games, I don't know how I'd be able to cope with life, and that sounds a bit dorky, but I honestly don't know where I'd be.
Even beyond worlds like Minecraft, video games and socialising aren't opposites anymore. Not everyone chooses to socialise face-to-face.
Now games can be played with potentially hundreds of people at the same time. You can see your other player even if they're in Japan and you're in London. The fact is that's a very social experience. You can talk, you can chat while you're playing, and you still have to come up with tactics and a way of operating as a team. Those are all really positive things that games do almost uniquely well.
As for what gamers are playing, well, it's not all shooting and driving anymore. Games are changing.
You see, the video games industry is very big business, worth almost £4 billion in the UK alone last year. And that means there's lots of money around for developers to push the medium in new directions. Directions like this. Ricky, what on earth is all of this? Where are we?
This is a game we made. It's not about objectives or a score or failure. It's about exploring a beautiful handmade environment, soaking up the atmosphere and seeing what you can figure out.
Even the idea that a video game is only for entertainment could soon look pretty dated. Industry watcher Andy Robertson reckons they're going to become a much bigger part of all of our lives.
I think we'll start to see the term of being a gamer or a non-gamer sort of fade away. Like we wouldn't say, are you a reader or are you a non-reader? It just doesn't make sense. So I think we'll find games in unexpected places in the future. Maybe in a church, you wouldn't necessarily expect to find it in the classroom, or maybe in the gym, in a sort of a health setting.
So games are just getting started.
Yeah, exactly.
So the argument about games could slowly be changing. Not which games might hurt our children, and instead, which games could help them and us the most. Dominic Reynolds, 5 News.